All righty, welcome to episode 4 of the Paramount Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Bickus, and today we're diving into the unfiltered and brutally honest truth about the automotive industry. Our guest today is the marketing director for Bettenhausen Automotive. Bettenhausen in Tinley Park. They are a top 30 consistently Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram store in the country. Mr. John Doolin. What's going on, John?
Well, Dom, how are you, my friend?
I am doing fantastic.
Good. Thanks for having me.
How are things today in good old Tinley Park, Illinois?
Well, sun's starting to shine. That's all we can ask for in a day, right?
All right, beautiful. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day to join us today. And obviously, John, we've had a long withstanding relationship, us two here in our company. So I appreciate you taking some time with us today.
Damn right.
Awesome. Well, look, I know there's a lot going on in the automotive world today. Of course, you've got tariffs, and it looks like the automotive landscape changing one tweet at a time. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. We'll dive into all those things. We'll dive into your role as a marketing director and some of the different initiatives that you help steer for the different roles that you've had throughout your career. I'm curious, and I want to begin just at the start. And I know everyone's got a little bit of a different story in the automotive industry. What's your story, John? How did you get into the automotive industry? Let's start on page 1. How did John Doolin get going?
Pure accident. So actually, I graduated college as a radio major, and I was going to be the next Jonathan Brandmeier, and that didn't work out. And you're probably too young to even know who that is, but
I don't
anyway,
know who that is.
I knew you would. So I took a job at a newspaper company, which was the Daily Southtown about 30 years ago at this point. And I figured out really, really fast that there was money in advertising versus money in editorial. And so kind of worked my way through those things, selling people, calling on people, getting a feel for mostly local advertising. And then as I advanced through that, we were purchased by the Sun-Times and the Tribune and Hollinger, and they own the Jerusalem Times and all these other things. So it just became this big deal. And I've always kind of simplified everything. I don't find a lot of things complicated. Most businesses are very, very easy. It's people that generally make it complicated. So I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. And the guy who was running automotive newspaper advertising and digital advertising. That's when digital was really just kind of getting its ground floor. And he goes, listen, I need someone just to fill in on the auto side. You know enough to be dangerous. Do you think you can do this? And that was probably my first experience with the agency world and those types of people. And it's just a different animal. And it just kind of blended, right? And so my first crack in the auto industry was in the newspaper business, selling full page auto ads for, you'd fall over at what people paid for that at that point. And I know that's probably on your list of things, down the road on what we'll talk about and in terms of channels and those types of things. But the newspaper was the driving force in automotive advertising for years. And I was fortunate enough to get into automotive on that ground level. Then the digital age came in and, we all poo-pooed that for the most part, and even today, right? It's shiny new penny, all these different things. We call it something different. It's the same shit over and over. It's just we call it something different, so maybe people jump on. So I don't think anybody in my world really engaged that for a really long time, and that's probably just pure ignorance. We didn't understand it at that point. We were just a bunch of ink on hands newspaper guys selling $5,000 full pages, to auto dealers 4 or 5 days a week. Like I said, you'd throw up probably at some of the budgets and in the heyday of that, but like I said, newspaper was the go-to for auto dealers, and it was page by page by page by page. Well, then as that kind of advanced, it became very apparent that the world was changing, and if you don't change with it, you're going to get left behind. So then I jumped on the kind of the digital side of the whole thing. Like, I'm going to embrace this because I'm no visionary, trust me, but you can see kind of the direction your company's going, the direction they want you to go, and whether you want to go or you don't want to go. It's not about you, right? It's about the direction where it's going.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of embraced it. And then I became the guy who said, hey, man, just cover up the masthead. There ain't going to be anybody who knows what car dealer it is because we're all saying the same thing over and over and over and over, right? So then that kind of got embraced. And then I ended up on the digital side somehow of the automotive industry. Then
And this
about
is still at this moment
Yeah, this
working
was
for
still
the
for the Sun
newspaper,
Times
right?
News Group, which ended up merging with the Tribune. And I mean, it all became kind of like one big thing. But I knew enough about it and I had enough relationships that I was one of the last guys to go, right? I was fortunate enough to go on my own accord because, again, maybe I am a visionary and I just don't know it, Dom. I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see that whole thing coming to an end, right? Like it's coming to an end, and I don't, what's going to be next, So then I'd had a relationship with Mike and Troy Bettenhausen for a long time. We went to high school together, and I'd helped them along the way with projects and things that they wanted to do, and the timing was just right. And at that point, they were growing from a single store location on Oak Park Avenue, selling 10 Dodges. It was a Dodge only franchise, which doesn't even exist anymore. But
Wow.
that's all they were selling was Dodges on Oak Park Avenue in a building that you could only house 3 cars in the showroom and had 3 service bays.
Yeah.
To this monstrosity on 159th Street, and then they bought another one. And so they just needed someone to grow with them, and I was fortunate enough, kind of that they chose me, and here we are, 14 years later to that point. Feel like we're changing the world. We're growing, obviously.
Yeah.
Went from a Dodge only point on Oak Park Avenue to 4 stores throughout the market. And as you said, top 30 in the nation, but most importantly to us is number 1 in the Chicago market pretty consistently for the last 15 years. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 maybe, but we're certainly on the podium every month regardless.
No, that's
But that's kind of the story.
Yeah, that's great. That's very interesting to hear of that landscape, that change. I mean, what was it that were some of the telltale signs that you saw from your vantage point that started coming that was saying, hey, this old way of doing business, the newspaper model, it doesn't seem to be working anymore, or it's maybe not as effective, or hey, there's a better way of doing it. Was there a specific moment that you feel like that change occurred? Was it
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just
the iPhone
probably
moment, or was it just a gradual sort of change towards that?
probably a gradual, if I had to guess, a gradual get there for the most part. But the most important thing about that is there's still an audience for that, right? Like, so I always tell people all the time, like, listen, it doesn't matter what I think, right? Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter what the owner thinks. It's what are the customers looking for? How are they trying to be reached, right? So for us, we still have a block of people that, would probably buy the newspaper. We still have a block of people that, they want something tangible to hold in their hand, right? Like, so we still do like newsletters and some mailers and, because you're trying to pacify every audience, right? I want to crack at everybody, right? So I want to be something to everybody. And I think that, dealers and agencies and all the rest that, put all their eggs in one basket, they're missing the mark, right? I have a great story. There was a guy who called on me forever. And finally, this one day, the receptionist comes and says, "Hey, John, you have a pizza at the front desk, right?" And now you got to remember, as we grew to like 4 stores, getting phone call after phone call after phone call, right? Like, so you're trying to filter the stuff out. We have a block of, vendors we use and a block of vendors that we don't. And, so you're kind of avoiding a lot of calls. She's like, "Listen, this guy, somebody dropped off a pizza." I go, "I didn't order a pizza." She goes, "Well, there's a pizza here that has your name on it." So I'm like, okay, now I'm at least intrigued, right? So I walk down, I go in, go to the box of pizza, right? You open it up. Well, there's one slice in there. And there's one slice hot, right? It's steaming. And then the rest of the box, you put, "This is the rest of the pie of the market that you're missing by not using me." And I thought,
That's pretty
this guy's
good.
great, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
this is
pretty
great.
good.
Get that guy on the phone, right? It happened. It happened to be a digital vendor that, of course, probably weren't embracing, right? Probably because you didn't know enough, right? Like, so everyone's big fear, right, is like, I don't know anything about it, so I can't recommend it. And I don't want to tell anybody I don't know anything about it, so I just avoid it. I'm a firm believer. A good executive surrounds himself with people and vendors that know what you don't know, right? Let the experts be the experts, right? I am not an expert, and I'll just refer back to you guys, right? Like, I'm not an expert in BDC and I'm not an expert in call centers, right? But I surround myself with a company that is, and I have to trust. If I'm going to put my dollars in that, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's TV, whether it's radio, whether it's call centers, whether it's equity mining, whether it's follow-up, it has no bearing on it, right? It's find an expert, partner with them, and let them do their job. And at the end of the day, I get out of the way, and all they make me look is successful. It ain't me, right? I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do, but it's the people I surround myself with and the team I surround myself with, because every vendor I use is a part of my team, right? There's no team, it's only you. And I'm not trying to be cliche, but good, solid organizations scale up to that, where this is what we've got, this is our plan, and we stay with it.
That's great. And I think that kind of approach takes, I would imagine, John, a lot of humility, because if I was to ask this question of bet 10, 20, 30 different marketing directors, they might
30 different things.
They might answer it differently, right? There's a lot of big egos in the auto industry, of course.
Everyone's an expert.
Everyone wants their big name in bold letters posted across that dealership. So that's interesting. So what would you say?
Man, I'd rather nobody know me, right? I want to be, I'm the Wizard of Oz, right? Like, all I do is follow the yellow brick road. That's what I do, right? And I listen to the right people who tell me the right things. Because again, I don't know everything, right? But you're right, man. The egos, and you got to check that at the door, right? Because what I think doesn't really matter, right? It's what my customers think, right? And what they want and what they use to find the path to me. And that's why I think you got to diversify. You got to have a little bit in everything, right? Yeah, okay, I've been called a dinosaur, right? I'd still buy a newspaper ad, right?
Yeah.
Because listen, it's still the one thing, right? That gets still, and I don't buy the gas and sip stuff or none of that. I probably wouldn't do that anymore, because I don't think that's called single copy. You're way too young for that as well. But single copies, when you go to a gas station or you go to a 7-Eleven, you buy a newspaper, right? They can't really track that other than they know. At the end of the day, I'll take home delivery from a newspaper any day, right? Because regardless, there's still 10,000, 12,000, 7,000, 5,000. I don't care what the number is. They're requesting that. They're paying to have that dropped off at their door every day, right? And yes, maybe it's thrown on the driveway, or yes, maybe it's done this, but I'd rather do that than pay 67 cents to mail something to your house, right? Because that's just the mail, right? I can go in a newspaper, or I can go into a direct mail piece, one of these, call them rag mags, call them anything you want, right? But at the end of the day, it's still the cheapest way to get into that house. The average person couldn't buy the paper to print a letter that says, please shop here, right? Go buy a 500 ream of paper. It's going to cost you whatever. I don't even know. Then you put 67 cents on it to mail it. Just a blank piece of paper. Okay, you're already at $1 or something.
Yeah.
So at $30 $1,000, $20 $1,000, right? Everything, I still live in that cost per thousand world, right? And I mean, not even impressed. What does it cost me to reach 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And you just do the math. Your fifth grade math teacher didn't lie. You're going to use this for the rest of your life, right? Now, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be pi squared divided by x, right?
Right.
It's just simple math, right?
Right.
You can go online and see what the post office charges every day, right? It's 67 cents, 72 cents, I think it is now, right? That's just to mail it.
Interesting.
I haven't printed anything. I haven't, done anything other than put it in there. So now you tell me what your target audience is, times 0.72. There's your postage. That's just to get it there. Now, what's the message?
What has happened? Because I don't know much about the newspaper world, or that much about,
It's anything, though. It ain't even new. You can apply it to anything, right? Because you got all these digital companies that come in, and listen, it's hard to keep up with it, right? It's all the same. Everybody just calls it something different. And then you go, to your point on the egos of people. Oh, I want to be on the crux of this thing, man.
Right.
I want to walk into my general manager's and owner's office, and I want to give this presentation on, cost per thousand, and, CDXP, and, XYZ, PDK. Right? Okay. It's all the same. They're just calling it something different, right? I'd rather go to my vendors and go, listen, and this is where I become very transparent with all of my vendors, right? You're going to come in, right? I believe in you because you sold me on this. This is the right product, right? I believe in it. I don't know enough about it to present it. I don't know enough how it works. You come in here and you show them how it works, right? Let them, and I think as a marketing director, I'm just a small part of a big team, right? Because, the decisions I make have to be with everybody, right? Everybody's got to be rowing in the same direction. The minute you start rowing in different directions, the boat tips over, right? So I just say, listen, this is what I want to do. Let's everybody see it, everybody agree on it. And then everything is 90 days with, and I don't even know if we're on the same topic, but I'm just going to go there because that's a big thing with me, right? Don't jump in and jump out. If I can give any recommendation, if anybody's listening to this that's looking for a recommendation from, the number one marketing director in the market, is not give everything 90 days. You can't make any assessments for 90 days, right? Let it work. Let it see what happens, right? And then most important is the decisions you make today aren't going to affect you today. So like I'm working, like the things I do in April today, some instant result there, but that's all about May and June, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working to the future. There's a reason, right? There's a reason that, the windshield's far bigger than the rear view mirror, right? Because that's over, right? Like that's all done. So same thing on the other side, right? The other side of the pendulum is, I'm going to cancel. What's the first thing you do? Listen, marketing, no offense to you guys, marketing is low-hanging fruit in every dealership. It's an easy fix. It's an easy cut. You just knock it out, right? Oh, we got to cut costs. Okay, we'll cut marketing. It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? Like, so you're cutting off the lifeline, right? Like, here, it's like giving birth. It's, you cut the umbilical cord, you're cutting the cord to the mother, right? Like now you're on your own, kid, right?
Yeah.
So I cut that today. I probably won't even feel the effects of that today, but you will feel it in 45, 60, 90 days, right? Down the road, it's coming. So decisions you make today don't necessarily affect today, positive or negative. It affects tomorrow and down the road. So I always try to be forward-thinking. I always try to be looking down the road. Here it is, April 10th. I'm on to May. April's over for me, right? Like I've moved on creatively. I've moved on vendor-wise. I've moved on everything. Like I'm focused on May, and when we're 10 days in. Why? Because that's how fast this business moves, right? You can see all the, you talked about tariffs a few minutes ago, right? You can see all that reactionary thing, right? Like, and I get it. I can't answer any questions on tariff. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows, right? What you think didn't happen, because then it got pushed back, and then it happened, and then it got pushed back 90 days, which is fine. But I'm going to give you a really quick what I know in tariffs, right? And then we can move on. We can move on from it. If you bought this inventory, right, pre-tariff, it's no different. There's no price change at all, right? Like, so I bought this under the tariff line, right? Now, if we were forethinking, right? Because, everybody kind of knew this was coming. They weren't sure this was coming. So we stocked up, right? That's why, I've got a lot of inventory that is pre-tariff, right? So it's priced to move. It's priced the way it would have been, whether this happened or didn't happen.
So no effects at all on current inventory.
For me, no. Well, shouldn't say that. Current inventory, like if something comes in, today, there'd be a tariff if the tariff is on, if it came from Mexico or it came from Canada or wherever it came from, right? I mean, that's really above my pay grade because I don't handle inventory. I just figure out how to market it, right? So if my general manager comes to me and says, hey, listen, here's this block of inventory right here that's pre-tariff. Here's the block of inventory that's post-tariff. This is how we got to price this. This is how you bring your whole sales group in, bring your whole BDC in, go, listen, here's the question that's going to come. How the hell can this car be, the same year, same make, same model, and it's X amount of dollars higher? Listen, post-tariff, right? Like we didn't put that on. That's just what it costs to get that car here. So focus on the inventory that's here, right? Buy your car today like you would have any other day and keep the market moving, right? And deal with the tariff thing, down the road as inventories, deplete. Yeah, that's probably going to come into play, but no one can answer that question. I mean, everybody thinks they can answer that question. Not jumping on the, tariff this, tariff that, pre-tariff pricing. It's a slogan, right? I mean, it creates a sense of urgency, which is great for our business, right? Like, it happens to be factual, right? Like, so the price is probably going to go up, if there's a tariff put on the car. But today that car is here,
right?
It's been here for 120 days, so nothing's going to change that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and I think it's interesting being on the front lines of something like this when you've got all these seismic changes going on. And I think just now, at least through my lived experience, living through the pre-COVID time, COVID time, post-COVID time, now you've got this again, and I
It's a
know
lot of
even
similarities, really, Dom. There's a lot of
much
similarities to it.
of it. I mean, Dave says this all the time, right? It doesn't matter. Nothing changes. You've got the
Yep.
people that are staring at CNBC all day, worrying about what am I going to do? This went up, this went down, and then the other people just put their head down and go to work.
Right.
I mean, nothing changes. Cars will still break down. People will still need to get their cars fixed. They'll still need to buy new cars. They'll need to buy a new house, buy a new apartment. I mean, life goes on. It's important to not spend too much time, I think, getting caught up in all that minutia, but
You
focus on.
can get caught up in it, right? And as my old friend Gary Meyer used to say, radio guy, you probably don't know who he is either, right? Hot water's hot, killer whales kill, and sharks swim in the water, right? So
That's just,
you
it is
put it
what it
best,
is.
right?
Yeah.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, I mean, people are still gonna have cars break down. People are still gonna want a new car because that's just who they are. They lease them and it's done. They get another one, and people are gonna unfortunately get in car accidents and have to replace that car. The insurance company is still gonna give them a check for what the car's worth, and they gotta go buy a new car. I mean, there's an old saying, what I need and what I want, right? Cars are a need, right? One way or other. Now, you don't need a new car. So there's your pre-owned audience. I want a new car. So that's, your new car audience, right? So there's always going to be a pool of people that are in need, and car dealers just have to be there to fill that void and fill that need, right? And, how it's priced and where it's priced, listen, there's dealers everywhere. It's all about, they're all within, better. You deal with them all day long. I'm only dealing in one, really, right? But what's the difference in a price of a car? Maybe $500 cheaper here or $1,000 cheaper there. And maybe this guy puts in a rebate you don't qualify for and this guy doesn't. At the end of the day, it's why buy from the dealer you're buying from? Well, it's because, you trust them. You like the brand, it's loyalty. And those are all things that, we focus on here, not to, why Bettenhausen? Well, here, why? Because no hassles, no haggles, no salespeople, one bottom line price, deal with the same person, cradle to grave. We don't have finance offices, we don't have any of this. It's a very streamlined, seamless process that's generally hassle free, right?
And I do want to get more into that, and we'll touch on customer experience and how you've seen that evolve over time. Something you said earlier, though, that it got me thinking a bit. So I know you said marketing is normally the first thing that dealerships will cut.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, I see this all the time. And what I can relate this back to is my experience, me fresh out of college working at Merrill Lynch, loved it absolutely for, the 2.5 years that I worked. And I will say, just the one thing that always rang true to me is the stock market, right? Stocks go up, stocks go down. The only people that ever get hurt in the stock market are ones that jump off the roller coaster early. So that analogy makes me just think of the same thing as we see in the automotive industry, which is in the higher selling season months, in the spring, in the summertime, when there's a lot of wind aided traffic, when regular organic traffic is going well, it seems like dealerships are spending more money. So when things are going good, they're investing more in their marketing spend. When things tend to slow down a bit, they spend less in marketing spend. To me, I mean, that just seems a bit backwards, right? Wouldn't you want to do the opposite? Wouldn't you want to double down on your marketing spend to differentiate yourself when everyone else has their foot off the gas pedal? And then when everyone has their foot on the gas pedal, you can take yours off a little bit. What do you think about that? Maybe play devil's advocate, or what do you think about that?
So you're semi on and you're semi off, right? So like any other business, there's peaks and valleys, right? And the dealers know generally when it's going to be. February, your April, your August, your October. Those are November. Huge. Those are the huge months, right? So to your point on, yeah, I spend a little more. So how I approach it is I have a baseline. Now I'm going to give you a little insight into how I put it all together. I have a baseline number, right? That I have a starting point, right? And then I look at historical data, right? And I go back and go, okay, 3 years, right? Got to take out the COVID now, so that we didn't even use that year then, but I don't need that anymore because it's 2025, right? So I take the last 3 years just to get a sense of, okay, here's what we've done the last 3 years. You'd be shocked at how eerily close it is almost every year, right? Like it's super, the auto industry is super, super consistent. Now, how do I capture 10% more? That's when I start to draw the graph and I start to draw the line. That's how you raise the line a little bit. So, but I don't go all in, right? So I just break the months out, right, and go, okay, I know I'm going to get this here, right? I can almost put it on red and go, this is what it's going to be, right? This is it, right? We're going to win this. How do I grow 10%? How do I grow 5%? Right? How do I capture a little bit more market share? Now I put it all on paper and then I kind of let it all flow out. Then I go, okay, you get some challenges. Hey man, we need to sell 40 more Rams. What would you do to sell 40 more Rams? Well, I would take X amount of extra dollars and I'd put it up here. And that's when you start to grow it. I don't veer off of my baseline. Now, that's helped me and that's hurt me, right? Like I try to be very, very consistent throughout the year, to your point, right? But you also have to raise the bar in the time. So, when what is it, the old Democratic saying, when they go low, we go high, whatever it is, right? So when I see the market dropping in terms of, radio spots and TV spots, that's when I'm going to turn up the notch a little bit. But I'm not going to try and sell you something every time you see my name, right? I want to sell the brand and I want to sell the dealership, right? So everybody can go out there with financing and APR and, lease programs and dollars off, Hey man, tell me, here, my father-in-law said to me one time, tell me why you want to date my daughter, right? Think about that for a second, right? How many times, does any company, it doesn't matter, right? Tell me why you want to date my daughter. Tell me why I should come there, because everybody believes, right? That, however many, CDJR dealerships there are in Chicagoland, call it 25 miles, whatever the number may be. I'm going to throw out a number for each, 20, right? So especially in our expressway grid, I can be anywhere in 40 minutes, half hour for the most part, right? 355, 294, 80, 94, right? I can get anywhere I want to go. Why come here? Why should I date your daughter? Or why should your daughter date me? Right? Because there's all sorts of reasons why people won't come here, but I want to tell them why you should come here, right? And I want to be your go-to, right? And I say that self-servingly because we've developed a new marketing plan. We're your go-to, right? Like, we're your go-to. I want to be your go-to, right? At least give me a swing at it, right? And here's why I feel like I should be your go-to, right? Because, we work with everybody, cradle to grave. No hassles, no haggles, no salespeople. We don't wear ties. We don't dress up. If it's hot, we wear shorts, right? We try to humanize this whole thing, right? Like, no one wants to walk in and be uncomfortable, have to talk to this guy and go to this guy and then go to that guy. And everyone's all dressed up. And listen, if I don't wear a tie, right? I don't want you to wear a tie really either, right? Because you're making me uncomfortable. So we always laugh around here. Like, if it's hot, we wear shorts. If it's cold, we wear a sweatshirt, right? Like, here, this is it. This is what we wear. It's casual. It's casual Friday everywhere because we try to create a casual buying experience because I want you comfortable. And guess what? If you're happy, I want you to tell your friends, right? And if you tell your friends and they buy, I'll send you $100 Visa card, right? So
you're touching on a very important point and a very interesting point. And I think building a brand, success leaves clues and so does failure. And Bettenhausen has done a tremendous job. And all of these things that you're talking about, this is a part of your brand identity as a dealership. This is the brand identity of John Doolin. This is the brand identity of the Bettenhausen family. And that doesn't happen overnight, and that takes years, but that is a differentiating point. I talk about this all the time
But everyone says it like ours is it's better at Bettenhausen. Okay, why is it better? If you don't ever tell me why it's better, quit saying it's better.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think so.
You keep saying it's better, but why is it better? So then I spend money telling people why it's better.
Yeah. And I think, the automotive industry, it's cutthroat, right? It's extremely competitive from a consumer standpoint, right? If I'm shopping for a brand new Jeep Wrangler today, I Google 2025 Jeep Wrangler. I want this one with that color and that trim. I go to the first website that pops up. Maybe it's a third-party lead source provider like Car Gurus. And then that search to me will say, hey, here's 10 different dealerships that all have the same car for the same price, all located the same distance from you. So for a consumer, when there is no pre-established relationship, what is going to make me decide dealership A as opposed to B, C, D, or E? I mean, it is that brand. It is that customer service. It's the perfect combination of marketing with your customer service, BDC, sales team, what have you, to bring that customer in through the doors. But with all that being said, what would you say, John, for other marketing directors out there in the industry or general managers or folks that haven't had a lot of success with building out a great brand identity for their business? What does it take? What are the steps required in order to build a brand such as Bettenhausen?
Back it up. Don't just say it. Back it up, right? You want to know you want to know exactly how your company's doing. My dad taught me this years ago, right? You want to know how our company's doing? Call yourself. Be the consumer. Go in blind, right? We make all sorts of tweaks based upon ghost shopping ourselves, right? We ghost shop ourselves 2-3 times a week, right? Like, I want to know when someone calls, what's the experience, right? Does it ring 5 times? Does it ring 3 times? Does it ring to nowhere? Does it, when you ask for somebody, does it go right to voicemail? How does it all work, right? If I go on your website, is it an easy experience? Is it a fast experience? Is it a slow experience? Does this suck? Does that suck? Because if it sucks, to your point, you're not backing up whatever you're saying. And most important, when I Google, whatever you said, Jeep Wrangler, 2025 Jeep Wrangler, now they have the whole carousel that's going to pop up of 27 different places that I can go, right? And, this one's going to be $500 cheaper. This one's going to be this one cheaper. But you know what? My sister went to Bettenhausen and she said it was really awesome. And I've never actually bought a car from there. And I don't really have any loyalty to anybody at this point because, here, listen, the days of your grandfather buying a van and then your dad going to the same dealer because your grandfather went to that dealer and, he bought a Chevy because my grandfather bought a Chevy. And then my son's supposed to buy a Chevy. Listen, I don't even know how old you are, Don. My sons and daughter are 23 to 27. They don't care.
Those days
right?
are over.
They don't care where I bought, right?
Yeah.
They don't care where my dad bought. They don't care where my grandpa bought. They're just trying to figure out how can I get the most efficient car for me in the right price range. And I don't care whether it's a Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Mercedes, BMW. That generation just doesn't care. So how do I reach that generation? I reach it by telling them, this is why you should come here. Because I already know you don't care what you drive, right? They don't care. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's my 2 cents from my 3 children. I can only speak for them who are 23, 26, 27. They don't care what they drive, but this is also, size Sims, an educated consumer is our best customer, right? Well, everybody who comes in is educated now, right? The days of, hey, how you doing? Good. Yeah, I wanted to come in and I wanted to see some Jeep Wranglers. Oh, okay. Well, we have, 80 to choose from, blah, 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 blah. Now it's, hey, how you doing? Good. Yeah, I want to see J56029. It's a 2025 Jeep Wrangler and it's green. Oh, and it has this and it has that. Like they know what they want when they come in, right?
Yeah.
So going back to my 3 kids, it's like, they all drive Jeeps. One drives a Wrangler, one drives a Grand Cherokee, and one drives a Patriot. Why? Because it worked for them, right? Like, yeah, granted, okay, you're probably always going to say, oh, yeah, your dad works there. He's been there forever. You're in family forever. Yeah, but they didn't have to buy from here, right? In fact, my older son wanted, he was looking at a Chevy Colorado pickup truck, right? He just had an awful experience where he went and then just went, I can't do it, right? I'm going to go back to Bettenhausen. And that's not a testimonial to me or us or him. That was just a customer who said, yeah, I really think I like the Chevy Colorado. And he ends up in a Jeep Grand Cherokee because it was just an awful experience, right? So know your customer base, know who you're trying to attract and market to them accordingly, right? The message I send 23 to 27-year-olds is far different than the message I send to a 56-year-old that has bought 3 cars from us, right? I don't have to resell them on why Bettenhausen. I just have to make sure we know the situation they're in, whether it be interest rate, equity, their lease is coming due. and communicate with those people, right? Because if you don't communicate with your customers, I assure you somebody else is, right? And that is via equity mining, right? Which goes back to your business, right? Which is why you guys are so important to the process, right? Our best customer is generally already in our customer base. New customers are wonderful. We embrace them, we cherish them, and we want them. But that's a really, really hard thing to do today because there's just so much outside noise and there's so many choices. And, people have a lot of choices. I want them to choose Bettenhausen. Why? Because I believe in the product. I believe in the store, and I believe in our philosophy, right? I just want to go in a gallon of milk, right? You don't walk into the 7-Eleven and go, I'll give you $3 for the milk. Well, I'm sorry, sir, it's $4.69. Yeah, well, I'm willing to give you $3, right?
Right.
And it's negotiated because that's the nature of the business. But I don't think people have time for it anymore, right? Yeah, they kind of want to, but they really don't want to, right? It's just give me a fair price for what I'm trading in, help me get out of the situation I'm in, and put me in the right vehicle that fits my needs, that's affordable. That's it. It's easy. Like we started this conversation with, the business is very easy. It's people that make it complicated, right?
Yeah.
Don't make it complicated and you'll have customers for life.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't even know if I answered your question, but I'm passionate about it because
the first thing that you said, and you said a lot, and a ton of knowledge there dropped during that question. The first point that you said, though, I think is so true. And we do this as a sales tactic when selling dealerships, which is shop the dealership, go through the process, shop yourself. And
right.
I think it's tremendous. And it says a lot about what you all are as a store, as an enterprise, because you shop yourself. You have an understanding of what that process looks like.
Find the flaws in your own business, right?
Well,
we all have flaws. None of us are perfect.
The first step that I will take when I'm prospecting a dealership is call the dealership, call the line. And then I wait and see, did it take a minute and a half for me to get to somebody? Did the receptionist pick up right away? Does it a sales manager pick it up right away? What does their team look like? What does their process look like? Then test their people, test their managers a bit. You'll learn so much more, I think, about your own business by testing your business than anything else.
There's an old saying, perfect is the enemy of good, right? And it's 100% true. You don't have to be perfect. We can get to perfect. We can get to great. Just be good, right? Perfect is the enemy of good. Everybody just wants a good experience. No one's perfect. I don't expect anything to be perfect, right? And everybody's situation is different. Yeah, okay, great. You got $5,000 to put down. You got a 780 credit score and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. That's easy, right? But I want to help the people, and we want to help the people that maybe that's not so great, right? Maybe I'm a little bit upside down. How can we do this with the trade, right? You don't have to be perfect. Just make it good. And listen, the best transaction is both parties feeling really good about it, right? Like feeling really good because they got me out of this situation, and the dealer feels good because listen, everybody's got to make money, right? Like, oh, you guys are making Kelly on it. Listen, man, everybody's got to make money, right? We're all here to make money, right? So it's just the whole process is just, it can be easy, right? And yeah, there's complicated situations and all that. And we got specialists to work with them. Every dealer has specialists to work with that, right? And it's just, everybody wants that 25 to, 54. Okay, it's a great age range, right? But there's no other old saying. I'm full of old sayings today.
I love them.
The scorecard doesn't lie, right? Like know your audience, know your customer base, and make sure you shore that up right away. Because that's my customer base, right? That's who we are. Now I take those extra dollars because I'd love to have that kid coming right out of college, buying his first car, and I want a customer for life. Because the Compass he buys today will be the Jeep Grand Cherokee he may buy next time, which will be the Chrysler Pacifica he buys next time, which goes back to the Jeep Cherokee. When you go to a midlife crisis like myself, you'll be in a Wrangler, right? Like, so it's an evolution, right? Like, so if you can create that car buying experience and make it really, really good, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good, right? And build a customer for life. And I truly believe that everything else will fall in place, right?
That's great. And I've got some live breaking news here as we speak. We have Mr. Dave Deeney has just entered
My
the
man.
building.
Look at that
There he
guy.
is.
Wait a minute. Where are you? In like some beautiful suite somewhere?
Yeah, it's my
He's in his
corporate.
penthouse in
I'm in
Soho,
my
New York.
corporate,
Wow.
my corporate 59th floor penthouse that overlooks the lake. When I make all these really fine decisions. All right.
Well, Dave, we've been jumping into a bunch of different things here with John. We've talked about brand and building a brand identity, which I think has been great, and how Bettenhausen has really been able to build a brand that separates themselves from the competition. One of the things specifically I asked John is what does it take to build a successful brand? And what he said was just, well, we shop ourselves, right? It begins and it starts there. We'll pick up the phone and call and understand, what does the customer journey look like? We'll submit leads on our own system to get an understanding. What do you think about that? What is your take? What do you think? What does it take for a business, for a dealership, for a company? What do you think it takes to build a successful brand?
Loaded.
It's a loaded question, throwing you right into the middle of the ocean.
Oh, wow. Dave, thanks for coming. There's a lot to building brand. I think it comes down first and foremost to the vision that the CEO or the president starts out with, for how to go from opening a rooftop to having it be a place that people want to come to, for a long time. Whatever it is you're doing, like there's all these sayings come to mind, right? But if you don't stand for something, or if you stand for everything, you don't stand for anything. Is that the saying? You got to stand for something. What is
Yeah.
your modus operandi? Like, who are you? What are your core values? What is the vision for what you? Anyway, so once you kind of have that and you've identified that, then you have to make your decisions on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, based on that vision, based on those rules of thumb, things that you live by. So, I got to take this call. Sorry.
Go ahead. Thank you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Dave. Dave, appreciate the insight.
All
Well,
right.
there's
Hey,
another country heard from.
Yep. Hey, let's pivot a little bit. I know you've
Yeah.
talked about this, but I want to drill into the customer experience a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the evolution of the customer experience has really looked like? And I know you said a few things there, which was the customer.
Leads are tough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the days of, again, someone going online, filling out a lead form, knowing they're going to get hammered, right? It's more difficult now, right? So it's like anything else. I always tell people, you're going to call me, have a point, right? Like if we're going to call and just, bop around,
Yeah.
I'll probably generate that or you generate that, but we better be pretty close to be doing that, right? That's my wife and my 3 kids and my granddaughter, right? You want to chat? Let's chat. Everything kind of else is like, hey, is there a point to this? Because everybody's really busy, and I'm not being insulting. I'm being facetious. There is the whole day when the lead form keeps popping up and popping up and popping up. Here, I just want to know how much my car's worth,
Yeah.
right? I don't know what I'm doing yet because my wife is leaving me. I got to go get an apartment, and I'm probably gonna have to get a car. And I just want to know how much this costs. I don't want to give you my life story, and I don't want to give you my name, phone number, email, and address, knowing what's going to transpire after that. So
Yeah.
I think that if you make them comfortable, you'll ultimately get what you want, right? Like, hey, just curious how much this payment is. Oh, okay, great. $529. Okay, I could probably spend that. I got this piece of shit car. Not really sure how much it's worth. Oh, plug in the info, right? Like, and I think that's where like the AIs and stuff can help. The days of the lead formers hitting you in the face and dropping down and coming across and chat this and chat that, right? Like just have a conversation with somebody. And listen, your website is your first. You never get a second chance to make a first impression, and your website is your virtual showroom to the world, right? It's the first thing they're going to go to, right? So make it count, make it work, make it easy, make it functional, and give me the information I want, and I'll ultimately get what I need. So the customer experience has to be fluid, transparent, easy, and not overbearing anymore. I mean, listen, man, something pops up on, you look at a house, right? Okay, what's the first thing they ask you for? Are you looking to buy or sell in, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? None of your business, right? Like listen, I obviously have an interest in this house. I can't tell you when, because I can't tell you how much mine is worth yet. and I'm using houses on purpose because everybody does the same thing in the car thing. But if you go into the housing industry, there's some guys who do it really cool, right? Like it's an end around to get the end result, right? Like I just don't. I as a consumer don't want to be, don't want to be punched in the face as soon as I come on, right? Because that just screams desperation, and desperate times calls for desperate measures, and desperate dealers do desperate things. That's what would scare me as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just kind of passively looking for this, right? I'll let you know if I aggressively need a car. Hey, I totaled my car last night. I'm coming in today. Just have something ready. But the customer experience, that goes back to building a customer for life, right? 8 of my 12 sales guys, they're getting the call right after the insurance agent, like, hey, Dave, Joe Smith. Hey, Joe, what's up? Oh, totaled my car last night. Should expect the insurance check here anytime soon. You know what I like. What do you got on the lot? Hey, let me get back to you on that, right?
Yeah.
That's what a consumer is looking for, right? Like, you don't walk, again, I always use 7-Eleven, right? You don't walk into 7-Eleven and go, hey, how you doing? Good, good, good. Did you want coffee? Good. Did you want a donut? Did you want a donut? Yeah, good. The donuts are over there and the coffee's over there. Did you want to pick up some pretzels on the way out? And how about I go for the afternoon? Right?
Right.
Like, no one does that.
Right.
Right. So why do we do it? Right? I don't need you to call me 12 times.
Yeah.
Because because I'm inquiring about, my mom passed away. She's got this car in the garage. We're trying to close out the estate. Just trying to see what this is worth. Does that constitute 3 emails, 12 calls, and a text in your world?
Or the email and text that says, hey, when can you come in right now? Hey, when can you come in right now? It's,
right.
Answer the damn
No, I
question.
can't because I have to talk to my
conversation.
sister, right?
Right.
And I got to let my sister know what this thing is worth because she wants her half, right?
Yeah.
So we're just trying to see what this thing is worth. Everything is just so in your face today. But again, now I step over here, right? It's a big business. Auto industry is a big business, right? High value, high expenses, high this, high that, right? So everybody wants to, there's that 7-day window, man. I believe in that 7-day window, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to buy, it's probably in 7 days.
Yeah.
So, you can follow up at 120 and, what is that? We follow up at 120, 90, 80, 60, 40, 45, 30, 15.
That's all BS.
It's like an auction, right? Like,
Yeah.
Listen, man, if I decide I'm going to buy a car, or here, I shouldn't say that. If I need a car, that's probably 7 days, right? Because I need a car. I don't know what your situation is, but I need a car. So that's probably a 7-day deal. How long are you going to go without a car, right? Whether you totaled it, whatever, it doesn't matter. Wife left you, took the car, it doesn't matter. I need a car. That passive buyer, right? That's probably 30, 45 days maybe, but they try to stay within the window of whatever event is happening or whatever incentives are out there.
Well, I'll transition here to our last topic. I know we're near the hour mark.
Yep.
I know you started this podcast by saying you're not a visionary. I would disagree with that, but let's have you put your visionary hat on all the way.
Yep.
So as we sit here today, it's April, it's 2025.
Yep.
As I look at the automotive industry from my lens, what I'm seeing is you got a ton of consolidation, and it looks like consolidation just continues to ramp up and ramp up. You've got the Auto Nations, Lithias in the world only getting bigger and bigger. Any guy that owns a single point store or 2 stores, you're probably looking to sell high while you still can and get out of this industry while the big guys continue to consolidate more and more.
Yeah.
Where do you see the automotive industry going here in the next, 5-10 years? Do you see any cracks in the armor of the dealership franchise model? I know, I'm starting to see it with Volkswagen and their Scout brand, which I've read some news on that. But what is your overall take as the visionary, Mr. John Doolin? Where do you see the automotive industry heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, semi above my pay grade because I don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
As a group that just opened a gazillion-dollar Lockport store at I-355 and 159th. I can't think like that, right?
Yeah.
All I can think of is the here and now and today, and what I do today will secure that future, and how I conduct that business today. You're right. I mean, there's guys that buy them up and do this and do that and do this, and that's where everything starts to get really big, right? That's where people like us thrive, right? Because we can stay consistent. We can stay consistent to what we do. No hassles, no haggles, no salespeople, one bottom line price. And we can do all these little things that the other big guys can't do. It's hey, listen, man. And yeah, I'm probably avoiding your question because I don't know the answer to that. I try to operate in like my own little world, but all I can tell you on that, and this is right from the heart, right? I love going to a hardware store versus the big box, right? Because, man, I'm not handy in any fashion, right? But I can walk in there and go, what do I do with this, right? Like, this is what I think I need. And they got it, right? They have that little part that, that the other one probably has, but no one can really find it, right? And they can find it. Even if they find it, they're probably not going to tell you what to do with it or how to install it, right? So I think there is a market for years and years and years to come for that personal touch, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I may pay a little bit more because, it's like anything else, right? I go back to my newspaper days. You're going to like this. It's a carpet guy, right? And he was really concerned, right, about being grouped up by a company called Carpet One, right? This Carpet One was out of Georgia. It was really a manufacturer that just kind of brought everybody together. But at the end of the day, it brought him his prices down, right? Because it's like anything else, right? The bigger you are, we got more of everything. So we're buying more. So, it's the Amazon kind of way of doing things, right? Like, it's just, it's volume. Why? I always use 7-Eleven. Why do you go into 7-Eleven versus going to Jewel to get that gallon of milk at 10 o'clock at night? I'm asking you. You're going to pay a little more, right?
Convenience. It's quicker.
Bam. You said it, right? It's just very convenient to go to the local guy. You know why I go to the local guy to buy my car? Do you know why I go to Bettenhausen Automotive to buy my car? Because it's the same guys I've seen for the last 10 years grinding it out, right? And they're still there for me. And oh, by the way, when my car broke down, I called my sales guy, right? And my sales guy called the mobile service guy. And the mobile service guy said, I'm going to come out and fix it. Just leave it right where it is, right? Hey, Dave, I'm really sorry. I don't know when to call. It won't start. Well, it's probably the battery. No, because I got in the car. I got in the car and the lights are on and everything else. Well, it's probably the key fob. Maybe the battery's out. What do I do? Oh, okay. You stick it you stick the key fob on the button and hold it for a couple seconds and then push.
Yeah.
So I call one of the big guys and see what happens. Service, this is Bob. Hey, Bob, my name's John Doolin. I bought a car from Dave Martinez. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Listen, man, I'm at the mall with my granddaughter. It's really cold out and the car won't start. Well, it's probably the battery. No, because like I could turn the lights on and all that. I just can't get it to work. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, Bob, what do I do? Right? Like, yeah, well, did you want me to set up a service appointment? No, you don't understand. Like, I'm in the parking lot.
You're totally right. You're
right?
totally right.
So I think there's just
That is
always
my question, John, and I think there's a lot of truth and honesty in that answer. That with scale, you lose that sense of personalization, of that customization, of that human being, of that human touch. So
what happens to rock and roll bands that get too big, Dom?
they fade away.
They break up, fade away, right?
Yeah.
They fade away, right? Because it's just, that's when it becomes ego. That's when it becomes all these things. And I love what I do, right? And I love helping people, right? And I love putting together the plan that delivers the number one Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer in the market, right? And I'm not saying I'm brilliant. I'm not saying I'm a visionary. I'm just consistent, right? And I'm consistent because I have a consistent team behind me, right? I am not the face of the franchise, right? It's all you guys, including you guys yourself. Obviously I work with you. I've worked with you guys forever. I've tried some things. I've canceled some things. I've bought some things. I've beta tested some things, right? And when you find that nucleus of things that work, that's what you hold on to. And then you go back and you go, yeah, I'll try that, right? Try that. I can't tell you I'm going to keep it, but I'll try it. I'll try anything to see if it works, right? But if you're going to commit to me to help me, then damn it, I'm going to commit to you, right? So there's all this in and out, and it's this one's fault, and that's here. Pull the plug on that. Well, it's only been took us longer to get the dashboard up, right? So anybody who hears this, other vendors probably hear this. I'm probably in trouble. It's a 90-day deal with me, right? Because I can't make any evaluations or assessments, right? And that sucks for people that I cancel. Because if I cancel you, there's data to support it. And I quantify everything, right?
Yeah.
I do not make rash decisions. I make data-driven decisions. And the vendors I use have really good dashboards. And don't confuse me with it either, right? Keep it very, very simple. And this is where I'm going to toot your horn, right? What did I tell you about the reports that you guys would give out? Man, this is just way too much. What did you guys come up with? And this is where I'm supporting you. You came up with that summary sheet, right? You and I have had this conversation like, listen, man, that report that Matt Valenta is probably one of the smartest individuals I've ever met in my life, right?
Yeah,
and I don't
he
say
is.
that haphazardly.
He
Okay?
is.
And I'm not saying that to toot his horn. I'm not saying that to toot your horn. I'm telling you, he's very, very smart. But I also tell him, like, listen, this report, it's almost like brilliant idiocy, right? Like, I can't decipher all this. Here's all the customers. Here's what they looked at. This
Right.
is sold. This is showed. This is sold, not showed. This is this is that. This is the
Right,
gross. This is that.
right.
Hey, man, listen, because I'm going to get 8 minutes with the general manager, right? And I might get 20 minutes with the general sales manager. Just give me the summary, right? And you did it. You guys did it. And you can share it, man. Like, listen, all I need to know is how many we called, how many set, how many sold, how many showed, 4 lines. I present it. Everything else is up for interpretation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you at the end of the month whether you're working. And there's an old analogy in advertising. This goes back to the newspaper days, and we used it forever. So I'll close as I started talking about newspapers.
Love
Right?
it.
50% of your advertising isn't working. Nobody's willing to find out really which 50% it is. It's a fact.
I've heard that one before. I love it. John, this was great. I've got probably 300 more questions, and I'm sure we could do this for many more hours. We'll have to do this again. We'll definitely have you back on. John, this was great. You dropped a ton of valuable information. I know everybody listening to this podcast will find nuggets here that they can take away and implement to their business. John Doolin, everybody, thank you. This was
Thank
awesome.
you. And I wish everybody success. I want everybody to be successful, right? This is about everybody being successful. So, and feel free. Dom has my contact info. Any questions? I'm happy to talk to anybody individually who may have some questions or looking for any sort of guidance on vendors or anything else. I'm happy to share with, why I do it and who I do it with and the reasons I do it.
Perfect. John, thank you so much again. We'll
Good.
talk soon.
See ya.